Hello, my name is Ray Morris, and I'm an electrical instructor for a community college. Today we're going to talk about non-metallic sheath cable. It is Article 334 of the code book. It's what we use for residential housing dwellings. That's how we wire them. Most people call it Romex. That's what we use around here, but that's the trade name. The proper name is non-metallic sheath cable. Some interesting facts of non-metallic sheath cable. All sizes used to be white. In the 80s, 90s, it was all white, but the inspector had a hard time finding it or figuring out where, what sizes went where, and so they decided to color code it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The color codes, it started in about 1997, so if you go into a house prior to 1997, then more than likely everything's going to be white. If you go into one 1997, 1998 on, you probably see yellow, white, and orange in it. It's considered a cable because it has multiple wires in it. You've got a wire, but if you got more wires surrounded by an outer sheath, it's called a cable. As far as I know, they're all solid. I don't think there's any kind of stranded Romex or non-metallic sheath cable, but there may be, but I've never seen any. I've been in the electrical industry since 1990. I used to work at an electrical warehouse for my first 5 years. I was a delivery guy and then a receiving clerk, so I kind of seen what was going in and going out. Grounded conductor has no insulation. It is bare. There's nothing on it. It's just a copper wire. How to buy it? You can buy it in a 250-foot coil. A lot of people do that. It's lighter. It's a little bit more mobile. I will say it's, there's more scrap because you can buy it in a 1,000-foot coil or reel. But 250-foot coil is probably your best value. The box stores sell it in 25, 50, 100, and 250-foot coils. But if you look at the price per foot, your cheapest and best value is the 250-foot roll or the 1,000-foot roll. Let's say a 1,000-foot roll costs $200. Chances are this is going to be $50 because it's 25% of it. But if you buy a 25-foot roll of it, it would probably maybe be 40 to 60 cents a foot rather than 25 cents a foot. Best way to buy it is this. The best way to use it is you cut out the center and you pull out from the center. You don't want to take all the plastic off because then you'll have a mess. Always cut the hole in the center and pull it out from there. This is a 1,000-foot roll. This is 12-2. As you can see, it's yellow. This weighs about 85 pounds, so it's really heavy. A lot of people wiring houses will get a piece of pipe, drive nails in the 2x4s, and set it up. And that's how they, run it from there. You always want the wire running underneath, underneath the roll. If you run it from over, when it starts getting lighter, it will pull off the nails. But most time, if you run it from the wire coming out off the roll from underneath, then it stays on. It's a little bit better. Just a trick of the trade. What does the numbers mean? Okay, we got an example. Somebody says 14-2 with ground. What does 14-2 with ground really mean? Well, the 14 is the size of the conductor. There's the size of the conductor is different sizes: 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Most of them, obviously odd or even numbers. But the smaller the number, the bigger the conductor. So 14 is relatively small. 8 is a bit bigger, or a lot bigger. 2 is a lot bigger. 12, 10, that's the most popular in a house, 14, 12, or 10. How many, the 2 in the 14-2 with ground is how many insulated conductors is in that cable. So as you'll see in the upcoming pictures, kind of what I'm talking about there, but you have 2 insulated conductors, and the WG stands for with ground. That means it has the bare conductor in it. Sometimes you'll have, not many times, but like 14-3 plain. That basically means it doesn't have the ground in it. Okay, how to size the wires for amperage. a size 14 wire is good for 15 amps. So basically, a 15 amp wire, you need a 15 amp breaker. So if you got a 12 wire, it's good for 20 amps. You can put a 15 amp breaker or a 20 amp breaker, because obviously the 20 amp wire size number 12 can handle up to 20 amps. So obviously the 15 amp breaker will trip as well as the 20 amp. And what we're trying to do there is protect the insulation. We want the insulation to last as long as it can, as forever. And if it starts heating up and breaking down and cracking, then obviously we've got issues. So we want to keep the insulation cool, and so therefore we're going to trip the breaker and cause it to quit heating up long before it starts damaging the wire or insulation. Size 10 is good for 30 amps. Typically use 30 amp breakers as in a 2-pole breaker, which would be 240 volt, for a water heater or dryer, and it will be orange. Here's an example of 14-2 with ground. As you can see, you've got 2 insulated conductors and you got your bare wire. And it's white. So white is the indicator that it's 14. Here's 14-3 with ground. Black, red, and white is your insulated colors, and then your bare. Black and red typically are the signal or the indicators for the hot wires. White is your neutral, bare is your grounding conductor. Here's some 12-2 with ground. You can see that it's yellow, 2 insulated conductors, and the bare. And there's 12-3. As you can see, it's yellow. 12 is a little bit bigger than 14. It's got a little more copper in it, so it obviously can handle a little bit more amperage, so it does not heat up as fast. Here's some 10-3 with ground. It's a little bit bigger, and you can see it's orange. And here is 6-3 with ground. It's black. I think that's just a 8-3. That's not, the black does not indicate it's 6-3. It's just the outer sheath of it. After you get to 8-3 and 6-3, they're coming stranded. Your insulated conductors are stranded, and your bare wire is a conductor's size smaller. And this, as you can see, it's solid. It's a solid number 10, but the insulated wires is stranded. And I took a picture there, and you can't really see the strands real well, but if you look real hard, you can see them. That's the end of the slideshow for wiring. If you got any questions, please ask in the comments, and we'll try to get back with you. Thank you very much.